Hello, welcome, vetters. We got a special live stream today. Joey is not my name is joining us, but he's going
What's
by
going on?
Joey. Are you just going by
Yeah,
Joey now?
Joey's fine. Joey's
Okay,
fine.
cool,
Yeah.
cool,
Yeah,
awesome.
I'm glad I can join you on video now. It was just one of those things, like 90% of the people on Reddit are anonymous. And so when I got wrapped
Oh
up in
yeah,
this, like I was just still anonymous. And then it got to the point where people were like, hey, that's weird. So I was like, oh great. The longer this goes, so I'm like slowly, trying to crack that open a little
sure.
bit. So
Of course, man. No, yeah, absolutely. For those that don't know that are watching, there's links in the description to everything we're going to talk about. But I've done a couple interviews with Joey, and I have never seen his face. I didn't know his name. I didn't, and he offered to tell me privately, but I said, no, let's just, whatever. So this is my first time also speaking with Joey, like seeing him face to face as well, just like you guys. So at least on this channel, you did one other interview on UAP. Is it Gerb or how am I saying
Gerb,
that?
Gerb.
Gerb.
He goes
Okay,
by
sorry.
Gerb. Yeah.
I want to say that right because I'll probably use it a lot. UAP Gerb. You two did an interview, right? And that was your first time to come out on camera, right? It was like a week
Right.
ago.
Yeah. I flew out to Colorado and met Michael for the very first time, as well as Gerb. So yeah, that was really cool.
Awesome. And yes, Michael, we're talking about Michael Herrera, as you've seen from the title. Okay, cool. Well, look, dude, before we jump into more here, a vetted tradition on the live stream as people are sort of joining us here. I always ask the same question, y'all, right? Tell me where you're watching from. Where are you guys watching in the world? I'm in Texas. Joey, I don't know if you want to say where you're at.
I'm in New England.
New England. There you go.
Yeah.
New England. Love New England, man. Chowder. My friends and I have a joke.
Yeah.
Dude, I love New England. Okay. Oh, Vermont. Beautiful. Look at that. Utah, Sweden, China. I don't know if I believe that, Nicholas. Okay. He's trying to trick us. North Wales, Montreal, San Jose, Seattle, North Carolina, Scotland. God, I got to get to Scotland. Highland, Michigan, Little Rock, Arkansas. That's not too far from me. Serbia. Love Serbia. Trenton, New Jersey, Cali, Southern Cali, Lancashire, Rochester, Cromwell, Albany, Cambridgeshire. Sure. Oh my God, that's a hard one, y'all.
Cambridge.
Canada, Denmark. Those are hard ones, y'all.
Worldwide.
Puerto Rico. Oh, we see Uruguay. Okay, cool. West London,
Water.
England, and Middle Earth. I love it. That's hilarious. Yes, look, all over the world. I love it. Belfast, Munich, Finland. This is my favorite part, y'all. I swear of doing anything that I do on Vetted. Scott, watch yourself. Not reading that. Poland. Love it. Cutler Blade, Florida. A lot of Florida. I get it. Connecticut. Been a minute since I've been to Connecticut. That should be a Jay-Z song. Colorado, Devon, UK. Scott says, sorry, bro. No, it's all good. Mars. Love it. Hey, Mars. We'll take it. Okay, yes. Well, look, Joey was kind enough to come on today's live stream. And thank you to everyone, wherever you're watching in the world. We appreciate it. We love the global reach that we have here at Vetted. And that's awesome. So, yes, Joey was nice enough to come on. We're going to discuss a little bit about Michael Herrera's, his last interview, basically, that Joey just did. You just heard him. He said he flew out, met with Michael for the first time face-to-face, and did this interview, which, again, the link to this interview is in the description. Go check it out. Very well produced. UAP Gerb, great job. The guy's great with production. He did a great job on this interview. So go check it out. I'm going to show one little clip before Joey and I jump in that I showed yesterday on the live stream. But it was at the very end. I don't think a lot of people saw it. So just to kind of, because Vetted's mentioned. So we were just a little piece of it that we're going to, it's a long interview. So I recommend you go watch the full thing on the channel. But all right, here we go. Let's bring this up, Joey. And again, man, thank you so much for coming on.
Sure. course.
Okay, I'm gonna go like this. Boom. Let's watch this. So Joey there to the right, screen right, stage right, and UAP Gerb over here to stage left. Where is this, by the way?
So we took a
It's cool
tour
place.
of Michael's business, and this
Oh,
is one
full room.
of his conference rooms.
Love it. So really, really cool, by the way. He did a great job with it. All right. I've been in a lot of conference rooms.
Yeah.
They are boring normally. All right, here we go.
One thing I actually kind of find funny is, you know, so Nathan came forward, you know, your team leader claims that, you know, you're making this all up. You know, first of all, it's like, so he was on Vetted with Patrick, and it was framed as if he was in a position, like there's no situation where Nathan would have seen the UFO, because from your testimony, he wasn't part of your squad.
No, he was not.
That was there.
Nope.
So he wouldn't have seen the UFO, right?
Not at all.
Yeah. So for him to be like, yeah, we were on this mission.
Can
but we
I
didn't see
can I
the
clarify
UFO,
just this part right here?
doesn't make sense, because whatever mission he did,
Look, I tell you what.
obviously he didn't see.
Let's do this. Let's watch it's like 5 minutes. We'll just watch that, and then we'll come back and we can go bit by bit if you want.
That's a good
Happy
idea.
to have you clarify. You know what I mean? Happy to have you. That way people just watch it interrupted here.
The UFO, because
No.
it doesn't for him to be like, yeah, we were on this mission, but we didn't see the UFO. It doesn't make sense, because whatever mission he did, obviously he didn't see the UFO.
No, and that wasn't on the same one.
and
with
you
him.
weren't on exactly.
Nor was this a secret night mission.
No, it was not.
And it did not involve aliens.
And yet, not at all. I never spoke seeing ETs, guys. That's kind of why this is boring in comparison to other people's stuff. You know, but no, it was not a night mission. That would have sucked to have been our night. We didn't have night vision with us, you know. I had my Kevlar, and I didn't even have a Rhino mount to mount anything, because I always kept that off because it just get in the way during the daytime. And typically I had on my Kevlar, I usually had goggles that were clear lenses. Most of the time it's just easy to pop those off and put them on, just because, you know, I didn't like having darks because they just really fucked with my vision, and I hated it. And not only that, but these were ESS and they fogged up like you wouldn't believe. So at least clears are easier to deal with that as opposed to the dark lenses. But yeah, Nathan wasn't with me.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing that I find kind of funny, like when you think about it, you know, if you know, he's saying you made this all up, and so if that's the case, it means not only did you decide to make up a story about UFOs, but you decided the actual mission I went on with Nathan, I'm going to pretend that didn't happen too, which makes no sense whatsoever. And I mean, really, the only thing that makes Nathan's testimony have any weight whatsoever is simply the fact that you're denying that you were ever on a mission with him, because you could have very easily have just said, yeah, I did 2 missions. I did one with him, and I had this other one.
I didn't do 2
So
missions.
it's just like anyone with half a brain would like know that, you know, if you were making this all up, just say, yeah, I went on this real mission with Nathan too.
Well, yeah, it could easily have said something like that if that was really the case. And if I wanted to lie about shit.
Right.
But, you know, then obviously the insiders wouldn't exist, and you know.
Well, that's the biggest thing for me is like, why would this insider be approaching you?
And it's just not one guy, it's multiple, you know what I mean? So why would they spend any time to try to help me if I was lying to anybody? Why would they expose themselves on their parts of it and details that I personally know? They wouldn't take that chance. Their butts already puckered up just like mine compared, because obviously what they're having to deal with personally. They wouldn't subject themselves to going to somebody who's lying. Doesn't make any sense.
But so Nathan, the thing that's most compelling about Nathan is, you know, he is who he says he is.
Correct.
You know, he was your team leader.
At one point, yes.
And he was on that operation. He was on the ship. All of that stuff logically lines up. And he has this photograph of 2 people on a helicopter. He says one of them is you. You deny that. You said
correct.
It's not
I know
you.
who it is. I'm not going to say who it is, but I know who it is.
Yeah. So the thing that's interesting though is someone found a match in the camouflage between that photo and another photo of you.
Is it the Daily Mail photo?
Yeah, the
Okay,
Daily Mail
because
photo.
there's only 2 photos that I know that that have been released. One of them was
Yeah.
when I sent to Josh Bosworth with Daily Mail, because they're like, "Hey, do you have any pictures you want to?"
Yeah,
I believe it's you helmet on holding the saw.
right.
Correct.
Right.
So yes, and I mean, but here's the thing: it's a medium reg that I was wearing. A lot of them are the same patterns of that way. It's not like it's a fingerprint of one specific thing.
I mean, it's odd that it's in the same location. Like I know like some of the patterns repeat, and you can find examples of this all over of finding like the pattern, you know, on a leg here and then on a different uniform, like it'll be on like the other leg or whatever.
Right, and but it's like some of the patterns don't even look identical, just in my
Yeah.
opinion. You know, that's just where we're at. And
So you don't think there's any possibility that like it was a picture of you on a different day?
no, that was not me.
It just simply
Facial structure doesn't look the same as mine. Nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not even me. I mean, even everybody I've showed that knows me is like, that's not fucking you, dude.
Yeah.
I've had people text me like, this guy's saying it's you. That's not you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if that's what he's got, that's what he's got. That's not me.
Right.
What his intention with this is, I don't know. But there's
Yeah.
just,
I mean, you guys have a history. I mean,
he
you
doesn't
know.
like me flat out. And the feeling's mutual. But the thing is, I got with what I'm dealing with in my life.
Right.
And that's all I'm focused on.
Right.
I'm not making money off of this stuff. This doesn't get me anywhere financially.
Right.
What it does provide is understanding and stuff that I wish I never learned, but the truth had to be known. And I'm thankful at least these insiders were able to show details and share me details as well of what they were personally dealing with, because these guys are working in that organization.
Yeah. So
Okay, cool. All right, let me back it up here. So you said there was a part of it.
Well, let me. So
uh,
first of all, let
clarify.
me just say, Nathan is very credible. I reached out to him privately very early on last year. You know, once I started trying to piece together, you know, the platoon and you know, people who may have known Michael. He was actually early on in the various chats and Reddit and you know, social medias. You know, kind of shouting out saying, hey, you know, I was his team leader. I know he's lying, all this stuff. So I had reached out to him pretty quickly, and he was extremely generous with his time with me, going back and forth, even after he showed that photo and like, he's like, this is my testimony. And like, I give him a lot of credit for, you know, continuing to entertain my questions. Cause, you know, basically for me to continue asking questions means I'm doubting him. Right. So I have total respect for him for that. And, you know, some people are speculating that he's a paid disinformation agent or something like that. That's ridiculous. That's not what this is at all. Okay. I don't even think Nathan's lying. Okay. I think there's a possibility that he's misremembering what happened. And the reason why I say that is, well, there's a whole lot of little things, circumstantial things that make me think that's the case. But with Nathan specifically, you know, one thing that I find strange is he doesn't remember anyone else who was on that mission with him. He doesn't remember anyone else who was on the mission, like no names, nothing. The only other than the 2 people he thinks is in that helicopter photo, and the other person in that photo, there doesn't seem to be any dispute over who that is. Now, naturally, what do you think the first thing I tried to do? I tried to reach out to that guy and be like, hey, do you remember this photo? Who was sitting next to you? And no one can get a hold of him. He was in.
Let me show this photo real quick while you're
Sure.
talking. Sorry, go ahead.
So apparently he was in a bad rodeo accident and, you know, is kind of going through recovery. So that gentleman on the right side of the screen there, you know, there's really no dispute over who that is. So obviously I tried to reach out to him. Nathan tried to reach out to him as well, even. I also find it strange that Nathan can't recall anything specific Michael did on that supposed mission with him. Nothing, like any sort of random memory, like, oh, you remember he like, was carrying a box and he tripped or something, or just whatever, like just any sort of memory. He doesn't recall. So there's certain things that I'm like, I don't know, maybe he's misremembering. But like this photo, I have said from day one, as soon as this photo came out, I found it extremely compelling. And recently, over the past probably 3 or 4 months, someone actually recognized a match in the camouflage on the shirt. There's also supposedly a match with the pants. I personally don't fully agree with that analysis. So I'm like, like, how do you explain that? And that remains to be the biggest piece of evidence against Michael, in my opinion. And just the perfect logical testimony that Nathan provides. I don't think it's crazy at all. You kind of made it sound like I thought Nathan's testimony was crazy. I don't think that at all. I think it's perfectly logical. Absolutely. So I just wanted to get that straight. I have nothing against Nathan. I do recognize that he's got a little bit of a grudge against Michael, as did most of the platoon members I spoke to. The guys who knew him back then all looked at him like, lesser than, because he had gone UA, so unauthorized absence, from his first deployment. He was in a different company. They all thought it was because he was irresponsible and all that. But he's explained, and I believe him, the reason why he went UA was because his father was going through a tough time, and he didn't feel like he was going to be there when he got back. And so he went UA. He stayed in touch with the superiors. He worked it out. He got punished. They gave him the chance to get out of the Marines. It meant a lot to him. He wanted to stay in and do his time and serve. They, basically agreed, okay, well, we'll transfer you to this other company. So he's transferred to Echo Company. And that's how he got in the position to go on this deployment on the USS Denver, and ultimately into Indonesia, among other places. So he was an outsider. He was an outsider among his platoon members, and they bullied him. He leaned into it, and so, it just, the dynamic of the relationship between the different platoon members just makes it all that more authentic, in my opinion, how, Nathan's, just the way he presents his opinions of Michael. It just all makes sense to me. And I don't think there's any sort of like secret motive or, being paid under the table type of thing, other than they didn't like each other. He sees Michael making these extraordinary claims, and to the best of his recollection, they were in a squad together. That was their official, from the Marine standpoint, they were officially in a squad together. And so, to the best of his recollection, he thinks he went on this mission with Michael. So I just wanted to kind of start there and just establish that, I don't think Nathan's crazy at all, or has any ill intentions. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Of course. See, I'm a good listener.
Yeah, I see. You're just kind of giving me the
Of
mic
course. I want to make sure that you realize that's what I'm here for, that as well, right? Like, I want you to feel comfortable and that you're, I'm not here to do all the talking, for sure. I want to make sure that you're allowed to speak your mind from your own words, say your own thing. You know what I mean? You represent yourself. So, I appreciate that. So real quick, this is what I'd like to do. This will make it easier. This will give us a nice little foundation to carry this whole conversation, because I'm sure there's a lot of things you want to get to. And I bet if we do it this way that I'm going to suggest, we'll get to all of it and
Sure.
my stuff that I want to talk. You'll see. All right. So what I'd like to do is we kind of hinted at it there just a moment ago. Let's just go over this clip. Right. We're
Sure.
gonna. This is what I would do on Vetted, actually. So here you get to be here for like a live Vetted. What I would do essentially, because I would never show a whole interview, right? But I'll show a clip, talk about it, promote that interview, right? Go check it out, right? So this is essentially what I would do, and we'll just do it together. And you wanted to kind of add some context, right, to some of this.
Yeah.
So
let's
this will
do
be
it.
perfect, right? This will be perfect because I have some things to say as well, clearly.
Yeah, one thing I actually kind of find funny is, so Nathan came forward. Your team leader claims that you're making this all up. First of all, it's like, so he was on Vetted with Patrick, and it was framed as if he was in a position, like there's no situation where Nathan would have seen the UFO, because
Nope.
From your testimony, he wasn't part of your squad.
No, he was not.
That was there.
Nope.
So he wouldn't have seen the UFO, right?
Not at all.
Yeah. So
Okay, well, this is where I would stop it personally, and I would
Yeah.
say something like, well, let's be real. That's only according to Michael's side of things, right? And Nathan's not claiming to have not seen a UFO or seen a UFO, in the sense that they're both telling two different stories, right? So really it's just word against word. So it's not really that ridiculous, right? Or that sort of thing, right? So my thing would be, Nathan is claiming I went out on a mission with Michael that day. The day, let's be clear, right? Daytime is when Nathan.
Well, I mean,
says
that whole
happened.
operation only occurred over the course of like a few days, so it's not
correct. But he went out during the day for his mission. Nathan's
Yeah,
saying.
like
Nathan
most of
isn't
the
saying we went out
platoon
at night.
went
Yeah,
out
like
that
everybody,
day.
right? They got
Like,
an
not
hour or
everybody,
whatever it
but
was.
yeah.
And Michael is saying, I never went on any mission with Nathan out there on that boat. The only mission I went on was this with these other guys during the day, not at night, right? It wasn't at night. It was during the day. So they're both claiming two different things happened on, we could hypothetically say the same day, right? Michael's claiming he went and saw a UFO take off. Nathan's saying, nope, we just did our humanitarian aid mission like everybody else. And here's a picture of us on the way there. And Michael's in claiming, that's not me in the picture. I guess we'll get to that picture later, but please.
Yeah, so I mean, like, kind of my point is Michael's testimony, and it is significant, that's the whole point, right? We're trying to see if Michael's testimony, what his story is true or not. So we have to look at it in the way he contextualizes it. And from day one, he always said that it was this sort of volunteer mission with random people from different squads. So
During the day.
Right.
Yeah.
So my point is, he never said he went with his assigned squad. He specifically said he went with people who were not his assigned squad.
Correct.
And so for Nathan to come forward at a later point and be like, hey, we went on a mission together and we didn't see a UFO. It's like, even if both of those are true, they're totally separate events or separate missions that
Sure.
have nothing to do with each other. So it's like, even if Michael did go on a mission with Nathan, it has nothing to do with his testimony of this volunteer squad. And so
Sure.
the way it was framed when you were talking with Nathan about it was as if Michael was claiming he did go on this mission with Nathan. And Nathan's like, yeah, we went on this mission, just like Michael said, but we didn't see any UFO. And I felt like that framed it in a way that was disingenuous to what Michael has maintained from day one. I mean, yeah, it would be strange if like he wasn't specific at first and then Nathan comes out and then he changes his story or clarifies and says like, oh, well, actually it was a volunteer mission. I mean, yeah, that'd be sketchy. But like from day one, that was his testimony. It was a volunteer mission, random people from different squads. And so that was kind of my point I was trying to make there.
Yeah, I mean, look, I agree. Again, it's just word against word. There is no one has more validity than the other. One is claiming to have seen a UFO and psychics being human trafficked. The other saying we just went on an aid mission.
Right. I mean,
Right.
you're drawing in all that other stuff to make it sound ridiculous, but that's not really what we're arguing right
that's-
now. We're just
that's just the facts of what he's saying his story is.
yeah, but it's irrelevant
not-
to what we're arguing right now. You know,
I think it's all relevant. And this brings
okay.
up another point. So
Yeah.
let's move forward in this, because Michael's going to claim that no aliens are involved in his story, right?
Well, for him to be like, yeah, we were on this mission, but we didn't see the UFO, it doesn't make sense, because whatever mission he did, obviously he didn't see.
I'm
the
going to run
UFO.
out of water.
No,
Just-
and I wasn't on the same one.
and
with
you
it.
weren't on exactly.
Nor was this a secret night mission.
No, it was not.
And it did not involve
And
aliens.
yet, not at all. I never spoke seeing ETs, guys.
So he says he never spoke seeing ETs. Now, let's take Michael's story as a whole. He has never mentioned aliens or non-human intelligence ever in any of his interviews
this
or
is-
testimony?
Yeah, so I feel like you're trying to change the context of what he's saying right now. in
He's
order
saying
to
on his
put him in a
mission in-
position.
No, I'm not. He's saying in let's just state facts. He's saying in Indonesia, he did not see aliens, nor did he know it was aliens. Fast forward, this was in 2009. Fast forward, he meets an insider at the press club for Dr. Greer, who he then goes to some black site, learns about information that they were aliens involved. And they
Not
shoot
with the
down it, right?
operation in
Not
in
with that operation, but that
Indonesia.
there are aliens involved in this
right.
program. So I'm not wrong. There are aliens.
Well, you are wrong
involved. And in
because
fact-
what we
and
were
in fact,
call-
in my video, I never state that. In fact, I show the clip of Michael Herrera saying, this is not about aliens. But then I show the clips of Gaia where he does bring it up. So my point is, Michael's story to me is everything,
yeah, but
right? It's Indonesia to this black site to all of it, to dismiss parts of his story. Like, you
Yeah,
got to take it all in, all of the context. So he has brought up aliens. He is saying aliens are involved in this. I don't know why it's like, why we ignore that. Like, why is that? I don't get it.
so what Michael is addressing specifically here is the conversation you had with Nathan, where it came up several times that Nathan was like, yeah, we didn't see aliens in Indonesia. So that's specifically what he's
Sure.
addressing here.
Done.
And what you're doing
Done.
is you're trying to pull that quote of Michael out of context and apply it to other unrelated things that have happened
No, I'm
later
not.
that
Hey,
he's been told.
listen, Joey, let's stop right now. I'm not accusing you of doing anything underlying or this or that. Let's not get personal, dude. You're getting a little frustrated. But you're saying I'm trying to do these things that I'm not trying to do, bro. So let's just calm down. I'm not coming after you, right? I haven't said anything, and I gave you all this time to talk. I give you the space. Let's just be respectful here. I'm not accusing you of anything underlying. So please don't say that I'm underlying trying to do this or make it seem like I'm not.
Did I misinterpret
Let's
that?
stop that. Yes, you did.
Okay, so what did you mean?
I just gave you an answer. Let's move past it. I said, yes, I did.
Well, wait a minute.
If you're gonna talk, if this is about me, I don't want to do this, dude. Again, that's not what is about. I'm here to talk about Michael and the facts. Are aliens involved in his story or not? Yes. Why is that so difficult? Let's move on.
Because that's totally not what the context was that we were addressing here. So
we're addressing Michael Herrera's story. Part of it
No.
is the Indonesia.
the quote that Michael just said is referring
And I agree
to
with you.
He
He said, sure.
and now you're
wrong.
making it about
Done.
something totally unrelated. It's all right. We can move past it.
It's not
I mean,
unrelated.
well, it is because that's what he was referring to. Like,
So hang on a
like,
second. You separate all of this? You don't think that's related? That he went to a black site, got told about psychics that are hooked up to machines used to bring down UFOs, aliens. They reverse engineer, and that's actually the UFO that he saw out in Indonesia was an ARV, right? Or am I wrong? Let's correct the record. Just correct the record.
all I'm just trying to clarify is that when Michael states like he didn't mention aliens in his testimony about Indonesia. He was just referring to what he experienced in Indonesia. So
Sure.
to claim that he's conflicting his statements or something like that, or imply that he's conflicting his statements, doesn't
Sure.
really.
He's not conflicting his statements.
Okay.
There you go. Does that
Sure.
make you feel better? Great. Now we've established that. Now, overall, his story does include aliens, correct?
Yeah.
There we go. Very easy. So his story does include aliens and these psychics, right? That
Right.
work on that are hooked up to machines and bring down UFOs. That is part of his story, correct? Remind me. I just want to make sure I'm steelmaning it back. Is that how you understand the story?
Those are things that he's been told by this insider. It's not firsthand.
What have you looked into that? Like what investigation have you done into those claims?
Well, let's not any. I don't hold any veracity towards any of the claims that this insider is making, because there's no evidence that I've seen.
So to you just focus on the Indonesia event. That's it.
It's not that I just focus on the Indonesia event, because what's happening with this insider is significant too, but I'm not in a position to verify any of that. So I don't.
But he went to a black site, that according to you, right? You're convinced of that.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what happens there. All I know is it's a secured facility. Yeah, I mean, there's absolutely a limit to what I've been able to verify. And I've never said, I believe everything Michael said, everything's the truth, because there's no logical ability for me to be able to do that.
Sure, I get that. But overall, this story does include aliens. I just want people to understand that, because for me personally, just to understand the Indonesia story, like, how can you not consider this other stuff he's saying? To me, that is half a brain, in my opinion, right? Like, to have half a brain is to be like,
half a brain. I should not have said half a brain. That's another. That's just something we got to talk about.
It set me off. I agree.
It did.
I admit it readily. It did set me off. And
man.
People were like, "Oh, Patrick, you misunderstood that."
Yeah.
And look, let's play the clip.
I think you may have. Yeah.
I actually didn't, but
okay.
Look, I'll tell you why. But let's play it just so people understand the context. And nothing against you, dude. Look, I talk on camera every day. I say shit too, that whatever. So I'm not trying to hold you to this like exact term. That's why I made a bigger point about it.
I'm just
and
making
that's
a
why
joke.
People thought,
I don't think I misspoke.
I totally. Well, there you go. Let's just play it and let people so they know what we're talking about.
Guys, that's kind of why this is boring in comparison to other people's stuff. But no, it was not a night mission. That would have sucked to have been our night. We didn't have night vision with us. I had my Kevlar, and I didn't even have a Rhino mount to mount anything, because I always kept that off because it just get in the way during the daytime. And Kevlar I usually had. Most of the time it's just easy to pop. Just really fucked with my vision. They fogged up like you wouldn't believe. So at least clears are easier to deal with that as opposed to the dark lenses. But yeah, Nathan wasn't with me.
Yeah, and I mean, one thing that I find kind of funny, like when you think about it, if he's saying you made this all up, and so if that's the case, it means not only did you decide to make up a story about UFOs, but you decided the actual mission I went on with Nathan, I'm going to pretend that didn't happen too, which makes no sense whatsoever. And I mean, really, the only thing that makes Nathan's testimony have any weight whatsoever is simply the fact that you're denying that you were ever on a mission with him, because you could have very easily have just said, I did 2 missions. I did one with him and I had this other one.
I didn't do 2 missions.
So it's just like anyone with half a brain would know that, if you were making this all up, just say, I went on this real mission with Nathan.
Okay, so here's my point. the idea that, well, why would you lie about this? Like, that can't be the standard for anything. That to me should go out the window on day one. Why would someone lie about this particular thing? Or why would you not tell anyone with half a brain would understand? That was my bigger
you're
point.
misunderstanding what I
Okay,
said.
tell me what you mean.
Okay, so the half a brain comment. Okay, I'm not referring to the general public who's watching this video and listening to the story. I'm literally referring to Michael. Anyone in Michael's shoes with half a brain would realize that if you're going to lie about a mission, about some crazy thing with a group of volunteers, why would you also make the active choice? Because this would have to have been an additional choice, because it has nothing to do with his alleged made up mission. He made the active choice to say, oh, you know what else I'm going to do? I'm going to pretend that the real mission I went on didn't happen, even though it has nothing to do with his whole story. That's the point I'm trying to make. Anyone with half a brain would realize that's kind of a dumb idea, especially if that photograph that Nathan presented is really Michael. He would know there's a photograph of him because he's looking at the camera. Okay, that was the point I'm trying to make. I'm not trying to insinuate that anyone listening to the story with half a brain. No, okay, so I feel like you misunderstood that.
Sure. Okay, let's assume for a minute I did. You just explained it. Okay, so let's be real. Again, that needs to be thrown out the window from day one, because that can't be your standard of, do I believe this guy or not? Why would he lie about this? Because you'd have to be stupid to lie about this. People lie about everything. If you haven't realized that at your age by now, dude, I mean, you know what I mean? So that can't be, that's why you've got to let that go. That's why evidence, proof, right? His story, his testimony, that's what matters. Not, well, would he lie about that? You'd have to be dumb to lie about. Let's be real. You'd have to be dumb to lie about all of this. But that doesn't mean Michael wouldn't. Does that make sense? Like,
well, I think
maybe you would do this because you would think about that. Does that make sense? We could go down that rabbit hole forever. You could give all the excuses why someone would lie about something. The point is, of course, people lie about things.
Right.
That has to just go out the window, in my opinion.
I think what you're implying is like people lie about things for all sorts of motives, right? Maybe they lie because they want to look cool or sound cool. Maybe they lie because they want to.
We don't know why people
money.
lie. That's my point.
Well, I'm just saying there's all sorts
reasons.
of reasons, right? There's all sorts of reasons. Exactly.
Infinite reasons.
So if he's lying, this is what you're kind of implying, that he's lying about the whole thing, right? So if he's lying about the UFO mission,
I'm not implying he's lying about the whole thing. I'm saying it is possible he's lying about it. But you're using your argument that no, because you'd have to have half a brain to lie about that. Therefore, he's probably not lying about that. Right? Is that kind of the argument you're making?
Well, the argument I'm making is, if you're lying about the UFO mission, why would you also make an additional choice to lie about something
because
that literally
lie,
undermines your story? That's my point.
But clearly it doesn't. Look at the point you're making right now. Right? Clearly that's not the case, because look at the point you're making. You're a smart guy, right? You're making a point against that.
Go ahead, explain.
Right? I'm saying your point. If he has half a brain to do this, then why would he lie about this? It doesn't make sense. Well, clearly you thought of it. Does that make sense? So know what I mean?
Like if I was making it up, I wouldn't also lie about something
you would think
that
of
undermines
you would
my
do,
lie.
You would do, yeah, you would, because then people like you would.
But it's
say
like
what
a
you just
random
said.
thing. Like it's like an additional thing.
Again, people lie for all kinds of reasons.
See, you're
and
not
once
actually
people
justifying
start lying,
it. You're just repeating that. So I don't really follow
what
that.
What do I need to justify? Why people lie?
Like a thought process that makes sense.
You can't possibly know what Michael is thinking.
I mean, we could speculate. Why would someone?
But every speculation would have the equal plausibility.
Undermine themselves when all he would have to do is say, "Yeah, I did a mission with Nathan, but that's not the one where we saw."
He doesn't want to admit to that,
and then
because
it
then
would
he
not
would have
conflict
to
with his story at all.
Sure, it would, because they both took place during the day.
So it was like What, a
Right.
1-2 hour mission? You could totally do 2 missions in a day.
Mission.
Sorry.
How long was Michael's mission?
He says later in the video he
Or-
estimates maybe like 2 hours.
So 2 hours from the boat to seeing a UFO, getting captured by dudes in black camo,
Yeah.
to getting back on the boat.
Right.
That sounds plausible to you?
Yeah. I mean, they went up the hill as soon as they landed, pretty much. I mean, how long do you think the whole ordeal lasted for?
I don't know how long it takes to human traffic psychics with the alien replica vehicle. Neither do you.
See, you're just like throwing in that little spice to kind of make it sound ridiculous. I
It
don't know
is
why that's
ridiculous,
necessary.
dude. It
Well,
does
okay,
sound
so here's the
ridiculous.
thing.
Even Michael claimed you should be skeptical.
Yes, this I totally agree with. I totally understand that perspective.
I mean, again, have we lost our minds that we're not saying this is crazy and you need to
I totally
provide
respect that.
evidence for this,
Yeah.
not the other way around.
No,
I don't need
for
to
sure.
provide shit.
Yes, of course, of
I
course.
haven't made any claims.
Yes.
This is the guy coming out and claiming that people are being tortured and died. What if I told you, Joy, there's a house down the street from me where people are being kidnapped, tortured, and they're being murdered? What would, and I said, well, I'm not going to go to the police. I'm talking to them privately and we're having a meeting. Well, what the fuck are we talking about?
I get it, man. I really do. I honestly do. And
Human lives
know-
are dying and we're arguing over, Patrick, you're throwing in these little bits. I'm sorry. But if
Well,
Michael's
I
going to
thought we
claim
were
that people are
construct- like-
dying from this, that becomes a serious, it's again, how serious do I take the claims he's making? If I take him as serious as he wants me to believe them, then I have to put a stop to, like, dude, Michael, what the fuck? Then we got to out this now. Then there is no bullshit. We can't be talking about Indonesia and camo and right. Or do I just take it as an entertaining story and we'll just see what happens? I don't know, right? Like how are people supposed to take this? How do you take it? You investigate it. You kept your security. You've learned secret things from people that are insiders on the secret program, right? Like I said this in my live stream. I don't think you actually believe it because I don't think you would put your family at risk. Because if you thought this was real and you were doing that, there's just no way you would do that.
So I think I kind of ebb and flow with it. Initially I approached it as just an interesting thing to dig into. I tend to do that from time to time. On Reddit, like something's kind of interesting, I'll kind of dig into it and just, internet sleuthing type stuff. And
Sure.
And that's kind of how I approached it with this case initially. And there were times where it became a lot more serious. For instance, when I did find out that this meeting happened with this insider, and he wasn't lying to me, I was super skeptical of that. Of course, I mean, and the thing that was great was I had nothing to lose. It's not like I'm like you and like a podcaster and like was like covering it publicly and was like, yeah, we'll see what happens next type of thing. Like I'm just like this random nobody. And so I didn't have anything to lose. So I had that opportunity to kind of give things space and see what happens. And I was able to prove that he absolutely went to this location. It's an extremely interesting location.
And even Nathan confirms that, right? Even Nathan's saying, yeah, Michael was here. He was on this boat. He was on this mission.
Well, I'm talking about the meeting with the insider.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm talking about the meeting with the insider. But you're right as well. I'm glad you brought that up. Some people question if Michael was even a Marine or on that operation.
No.
I don't think there's any controversy of that.
I agree. That is true.
Yeah.
100%. And I thank Michael for his service, just like I thank Nathan for 10 years, 3 tours,
sure.
A real Marine who put his time in. I think that's important to show respect for Nathan as well. Like this dude, he's not out making claims of anything. He's not coming out publicly. He served our country for 10 years, respectfully. I think that's important. And look, Michael served his country as well, respectfully, however many years he served, he did do that. So I'm not trying to take that away from Michael as well. He also deserves that respect.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there were times when, you know, and I had actually offered with you to you know, before I kind of went on video, to do like a private video call with you and show you some of the evidence that I had that kind of was, you know, put me in a position to verify that that meeting took place with this insider. You declined. I totally respect you for that. I mean, you know, you don't want to be in a position where you have to remember, like, okay, what's secret, what's not, like how,
Correct.
like, you
Because
just
what are the
wanna be able to speak
consequences of that,
freely.
dude? Have they
Yeah, it
told you
sucks.
what will happen to you if you say the wrong thing? You reveal something about this insider? Have they
No,
told you what's going to happen to you?
no, no.
What do you
I
think about that, man?
haven't
See, I
gotten.
don't, you know, I mean, come on, that's crazy to
Well,
me.
so
Just
I
man to
think,
man, right? Like that's weird, right? Like holy shit, dude. What? That's why I don't think you really believe it.
well, I think it's more that I
You're
recognize that I
curious.
don't fully understand the motives or intentions.
And you have admitted that several times to me. And even in this interview with Gerb, you say the same thing. So I'll give you credit there. You bring all that up to Michael as well. How you were suspicious of him trusting you. And, you know, after one phone call, he's ready to spill the beans with the guy he's never met. You allow, you know, I'll give you credit. You did bring that up to Michael.
Yeah, and I'm more referring to the intentions of this insider and kind of what
Sure.
his grand kind of plan is
Well,
with, you know,
that
the
too.
intentions of giving information to Michael, but like not following
Sure.
up with evidence. Like I thought for sure, like once Michael, and just jumping back for a second, you know, Michael had told me a lot of the stuff that this insider told him, in some other details, and that made me very nervous. You know, that made me very uncomfortable. And then, you know, slowly but surely, he ended up, you know, revealing a lot of that on podcasts. And I mean, at this point, there's not much additional like sensitive stuff that I know that's not kind of public, other than kind of specific identifying details of things and corroboration and evidence that I have to kind of support certain things. But
Nothing that you feel
at this
changes the
point,
game.
yeah,
Like
and I mean,
nothing you know privately.
at this point, I feel comfortable kind of showing my face, just because of that, because kind of the information Michael has already kind of put out there, essentially. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course. All right. Well, look, let's finish the rest of this little clip here.
Well, yeah, it could
And then-
easily have said something like that if that was really the case, and
Yeah.
if I wanted to lie about shit.
Right.
But you know, then obviously the insiders wouldn't exist, and you know.
Well, that's the biggest thing for me is like, why would this insider be approaching you?
And it's just not one guy; it's multiple. You know what I mean? So
Right.
why would they spend any time to try to help me if I was lying to anybody? Why would they expose themselves on their parts of it in details that I personally know? They wouldn't take that chance.
Mhm.
Their butt's already puckered up, just like mine compared, because obviously what they're having to deal with personally. They wouldn't subject themselves to going to somebody who's lying. Doesn't make any sense.
But so Nathan, the thing that's most compelling about Nathan.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit, right? Again, that idea that why would they go to somebody that's lying? That's for Michael, that's assuming a lot is true already, right? To get to that point, you know. But again, this is Michael's chance to tell his story too. So I'm not here to pick apart everything.
I think the question is, and I'm curious if you have an idea, because I cannot think of a logical reason why this person would reach out to Michael and kind of, you know, say the things.
I'll tell you
and kind
right
of do
now.
the things.
Disinformation, you know, CIA, intelligent agent.
Okay,
like,
but
I mean,
more
this is how they recruit.
specifically,
I mean,
yeah. So like, so
psyop, I don't know.
let's talk about, let's think about that for a sec. So specifically, scenario A is Michael's lying about Indonesia, right? So now this insider comes to him and says, "Hey, I know all about the operation you stumbled upon in Indonesia." Well, Michael will know that the guy's lying because he knows he made it up. So how does that work? So it can't
Michael
be
goes with
scenario
it.
A.
They worked on it together. I mean, come on, they could work on it. I mean, there's so many. Again, why people lie and how
So,
they
but like, so what do you
hoax
mean?
things or make things up.
I mean, don't
Trying
brush it
to
off,
go
but
down.
expand on that.
So we're just speculating, right?
Yeah,
'Cause
of
clearly we
course.
have
Yeah, this is
no
all
idea.
speculation.
Yeah, do I think someone like Michael could lie about all this? Absolutely. They get together with Dr. Greer. Look, there could be many ways that you're leveraged, right? You could have financial problems. There could be something in your private life they're leveraging against you. He had a security company, right? Didn't he work with Dr. Stephen Greer? And next thing you know,
He
he's
has
telling a story.
He has several.
You
He
know?
has several companies. Yeah.
Sure, but one of them was that, right?
One of
He
them is
mentioned that.
like a
So,
like a.
I mean, come
like
on.
a
They get
physical security
together and
company.
say, you don't know if any of the stuff happened behind the scenes. That's just what they told you, dude.
Mhm.
You just does that make sense?
Yeah,
You have
yeah,
no
keep going with
idea
that.
if Michael had these meetings with this guy behind the scenes. Let's say Michael recorded them. Doesn't mean any of it's true, right? They could make all of this up. There could be varying parts where it's where the psyop begins, meaning Michael is actually unaware. Michael is actually unaware.
I thought you were
He doesn't
suggesting
know.
that they were both like in cahoots. Like, what
That's
do you mean,
possible
Michael?
too.
Well, so let's focus on
It's
one
all.
scenario.
Here's the
Like,
thing:
what
it's all possible because we don't know.
I'm just
So it's
I'm
all
just saying
equally
it's
possible.
I'm just saying, like, can we construct something that logically makes sense so we can say, like, okay,
You know what
is
you need,
that
dude? Evidence and proof, because this gets us nowhere in this community.
all right? Well, you just suggested we should speculate, and now you're saying we shouldn't.
We
so that's
can,
fine. We
but
don't
I'm
have to.
saying that can't be the basis for if he's telling the truth. If that
Well, you
makes
have to
sense.
have
But
some
yeah, we
sort
can
of theory
speculate.
as to what the big story is if you're going to investigate, because you know it gives you ideas on what to investigate. You know, if you're suggesting that you think Michael and this insider and Greer, they all got together like years ago and said, okay, Michael, you're going to come forward on this date and you're going to say you had this Indonesia thing. And then 6 months later, I'm going to get involved. I'm going to fly you out to this place. We're not going to show anybody, but this one random guy will hope, you know, maybe some Redditor will happen to reach out to you and you can pick him and he, you know, he can have the evidence but he won't leak it. And then I'll tell you all this stuff and nobody like that's what you're saying is a possibility.
Yes.
Okay.
Because you know what Michael says happens? He said he saw a alien reproduction vehicle in 2009 in Indonesia, human trafficking psychics aboard this UFO that took off. And now these psychics are human hybrids, right? This is what he claims later. Now, this is Michael's story. Which one sounds crazier to you? Because you're saying my scenario possibility sounds crazy, but Michael's doesn't. Let's get out of here, dude. He's talking about hooking psychics up to machines, and that story doesn't sound crazy. Getting spoken to by an insider at a press club.
I'm just trying to expand.
That sounds plausible. They pick Michael out of nowhere. Let's go get him and bring him out to a black site and reveal this super secret program that is, you know what I mean? That it would be the greatest discovery in mankind because that's a lot of realities to accept with Michael's story. One, you're accepting there's psionic hybrids. Two, you're accepting there's alien reproduction vehicles. Three, you're accepting there's NHI that these people can communicate with and shoot down. And you're assuming there's a program that covers it all up. And you're assuming there's these actual machines that you can hook people up to and do this. And you're assuming they're covering that up as well. And you're assuming they're covering up the missing people all over the world. Right. And I can keep going with this. Do you see? But my story sounds crazy. I mean, look,
I'm not suggesting your story sounds crazy. It's certainly plausible. What I'm asking,
sure, but you got to all of that.
Sorry, I talked over you. What'd you say?
No, go ahead. I said if you accept Michael's story, you accept all of that. What I just said and more.
No, I don't. That's not true.
No, I'm not saying you, the general public. I'm saying as a general public, if you're going to, I believe Michael's story, then that you're accepting all of that which I just said.
I mean, honestly,
why would you accept some parts and not other parts of Michael's
because
story?
It's not binary. It's not black and white. It's not like, you know, I don't think that's fair to force someone to have to
So you think Michael could be lying about some of his story?
That's not what I'm suggesting. What I'm suggesting is at this point, I don't think anybody in the public has enough evidence to form an opinion about the story.
Whose fault is
and that's
that?
not fair. I totally understand that.
Whose fault is it?
I mean,
It's Michael's for not providing the evidence, or the insider, or whoever the fuck he's talking to. It's not our
let me
fault.
say
The
this.
public.
Let me say this. This video that because
Michael's claiming to be an Arrow whistleblower.
Well, he is. That's been proven. It's his testimony's in the
whistleblowing what?
report. I just want to make that clear.
Proven.
That's not.
But nothing's been proven. He's not a whistleblower. There's no evidence provided of his claim, so you can't blow the whistle on.
Well, we spoke about this before. I mean, don't you think Arrow would be in a position to verify a lot of that mission, with satellite data and stuff, to at least verify where he went in Indonesia that day?
Sure, Nathan says it too.
Right, so they could see
that he went on this mission, but they're not claiming that he saw a UFO. They're not claiming that these psionics are true. They're not claiming any of that.
They didn't verify. I mean, publicly,
because they probably were like, "What the hell?" They heard a million stories from a million people, dude. And they were interviewing people on phone calls, on conference call. Even Michael said they only asked me 3 questions.
Well, Kirkpatrick specifically asked 3 questions. There were other people in the room who were talking to him the whole time.
So what has been done because of Michael's story that they were like, "Oh my God, we better do something"?
I just want to say that this video that we recently published, I feel the timing of it was off. I feel like it should have either happened months ago when Michael was doing, other interviews and whatnot, or it should have been published in the future, if and when more evidence is made public. Because I think the expectation and the source of a lot of the frustration that you've expressed, and among others, is that there was going to be some, substantial evidence. And really, that's not what it was meant to be. It was just something that was meant to expand upon details that we felt were kind of missing, and to ask some insightful questions about, kind of his motivations and
it's a great interview. I recommend people check it out.
But I kind of sympathize with the negative reaction and the frustration. I've certainly gotten a lot of criticism for not, spilling the beans on this
location.
I
think the criticism is respectfully, there's no way you can be objective anymore, dude. You're in the story. Now, I'm not saying you can't be truthful, but your objectivity is lost by you becoming part of the story. Now you're part of Michael Herrera's story.
Yeah, I feel like, again, you're kind of making it binary. There's certainly, I mean, all I can say is I am fully aware that I now have a bias. I mean, I've been in direct contact with Michael over the past year, and
I get it. You became friendly. You're a human being. Like, I get you, dude. Like that, it would happen to me, which is why I don't do it.
However,
you see what I'm saying? Because it would happen to me.
However, I'm
not judging you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody is surprised to hear me say that. It's kind of common sense.
Not at all. Well, it's truthful. You're being truthful. Again, I'm not saying you can't be truthful. I'm just saying your objectivity, just because you have become friendly, you have become involved, it is the only thing you're looking into.
Well, so I think maybe that bias and lack of objectivity, as you describe, probably shows itself more when I speculate on, things that I think how it could have happened, things that I'm not claiming are like, hey, I know this is true 100%. Sure. It's more along the lines of, when people say like, oh, he didn't have radios, how do you explain that? Or, the whole thing with like Nathan versus, Nathan's mission versus Michael's mission that he describes. So I think that's a lot of what you're recognizing. And I mean, for things that I hold firmly in my mind, I can tell you right now, very, very little of it is based on having to trust anything Michael has said to me. I think a lot of people think I'm just literally sitting there on my phone like, oh, Michael said this, Michael said that, Michael said that. Like, that's not what any of this is based off of. Okay. And yeah, I can't share a lot of what that is. And that really sucks. And like I said, the timing of this video kind of would have been more appropriate to maybe hold on to it later. It's just the way everything lined up and me being able to travel and whatnot. And we were, you know, we were excited to just get it published because we had just spent all this time working on it and stuff. But you know, I'm trying my best to keep my biases sitting right in front of me, staring at me, and you know, keeping that in mind. You know, for instance, we can kind of maybe tie into the next part of the video about the helicopter picture that Nathan provided. I mean, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think it's the most compelling piece of evidence against Michael. And I wasn't fully satisfied with his answer. I mean, you can kind of see I pushed back on him several times.
You did.
And you know, I kind of feel like at the very least, you'd be like surprised that the camouflage appears to match, you know, like I'd be like, are you freaking kidding me? That matches? Like if I knew,
agree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that's kind of like,
totally.
Okay. But I just, a lot of people don't think it looks like him at all. I feel like I'm more sort of in the middle with it. I think the chin strap might kind of alter the appearance of the facial structure a little bit.
Look,
Michael,
let's play. Let's
Sure.
play it. Then have
I'm gonna go grab some more water while you play that.
Do that. Perfect.
Nathan is you know, he is who he says he is.
Correct.
You know, he was your team leader
At one point, yes.
and he was on that operation. He was on the ship. All of that stuff logically lines up. And he has this photograph of two people on a helicopter. He says one of them is you. You deny that. You said
Correct.
It's not
I know
you.
who it is. I'm not going to say who it is, but I know who it is.
Yeah. So the thing that's interesting though is someone found a match in the camouflage between that photo and another photo of you.
Is it the Daily Mail photo?
Yeah. The
Okay.
Daily Mail
Because there's only two photos that I know that that have been released. One of them was when I sent to Josh Bosworth with Daily Mail because they're like, hey, do you have any pictures you want to?
Yeah.
I believe it's you helmet on holding the saw.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
So yes, and I mean, but here's the thing: it's a medium reg that I was wearing. A lot of them are the same patterns of that way. It's not like it's a fingerprint of one specific thing.
Okay, so that's the point you're bringing up, right? Like his answer.
Yeah,
there,
like so
the picture. Let me show the other.
So I
picture.
think so in general, you know,
we're saying this bottom right picture, his left sleeve, they took a little piece of it, right, of camo, and they're matching it to the picture that Michael's claiming is not him, and they're saying it matches identically. It's on the left sleeve, right? And the pattern is this, especially that Florida looking shape right there, right by the edge of the jacket or whatever that is, the shirt, right? Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, so that photo on the bottom right is, you know, undisputed. Michael provided that photo. That's him, right? So he's wearing this camouflage blouse, you know, top piece, and someone noticed. I think
it's even on the same place on the jacket.
Exactly. So that's the point.
It's not on the, you know, by the thumb side. It's literally on the top of the wrist.
Yeah,
exactly where it would be. Yeah.
So that would be such a huge coincidence because so what happens is patterns there's typically like a large
just a coincidence, like mathematically speaking.
Yeah, it's exactly. This is why I'm saying this is very, you know, suspicious. But the way camouflage is made, from what I understand, is there's a large area of, you know, a pattern, right? And it kind of repeats throughout the roll of fabric. And when the pieces are cut out, it's sort of random on how, you know, one pant leg is going to get cut out from the next and the next. You do have instances very frequently where you can identify like, okay, this piece on the pattern up here matches this piece of the pattern on the legs down here. But to see it occur in the same exact location,
let's just assume it isn't Michael. What are the odds that another guy in his squad has the same print with the same thing? None of it makes sense.
I agree.
Either way, even if it's not Michael in the picture, it still would be weird.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I gotta admit, that's a pretty that's kind of the nail in the coffin in a lot of ways. Look, we had that Ron James come on. He flashed a picture on my show last weekend. I don't know if you know about that drama I got into, and it was a saucer and this and that. And within a day on Reddit, it was solved. Boom.
Right.
Figurines that spread. Blah blah blah. Brought him on, and he just goes, "Yep." Ron goes, "Yep, it is. That's what it is. You know, that's true." And then he brought more stuff, and we vetted it publicly, and boom, within 30, the last pictures he showed him, within 30 minutes, our Discord had it figured out.
Yeah, and I gotta give credit. It was the Zephyr Nexus, I think they call it, on Discord. Group of really smart people who, because I was like all alone with this for a long time. Like no one was interested in like investigating this at all. And I think with this, I just didn't like. It didn't even occur to me. Like the thought didn't even cross my mind that
me
like
neither. I
a
would have
picture
never
of him
thought
from
to
a
do
totally different day in a totally different time period, like not even the same operation would match. Like I didn't even check. I figured they'd like be assigned different clothes or something like that. But someone in that group, I think it was Kip, had
no, that was smart to think of that.
And
I
so
would have never thought to do that, to like match camos.
Yeah,
that would have never crossed my mind.
Yeah, and so there's another match that I'm not totally convinced on with the pants. But it's like a different photo or something like that.
Fair. Okay. Yeah. Gotta say it all. So I'm with you.
Yeah. So again, and I said this at the start, this is the biggest thing, that the most compelling thing against Michael, in my opinion. Now, from my position, and this sucks because I can't explain the whole thing, the whole thought process, every like the evidence, the corroboration and stuff. I have equally convincing, if not more convincing, evidence that he's telling the truth. It's not 100%,
But what truth? The fantastical truth, or which
about
part of
about him being on this mission without Nathan in Indonesia? And it's
so
just
you were able to maybe potentially verify the UFO?
No.
That's the only part we need verified, dude.
Well, that's the
UFO,
thing. Yeah.
The aliens, psychic. Nobody cares about anything else because Michael's story wouldn't matter.
Right.
If not, right. That's the part that people want to know.
Exactly. And I kind of feel like I got to a point with like investigating the Indonesia stuff where I was like I'm not gonna get what needs to be found with Indonesia, and when I saw things starting to develop with everything he's doing with these insiders, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to let time pass and see how things develop there. And because I totally understand the criticism. I mean, even people who are just straight up trolls to me, I'm like sweating over here. I don't have my air conditioner on in the office here, but like people who are just Texas,
like, I get it.
Totally like just flat trolls to me. Like it rarely ticks me off because like I understand, I get the frustration. And I mean, you had kind of given me some advice last time you and I spoke, a criticism that I had let myself kind of become involved in the story. And I think what you meant by that was sort of agreeing to, not tell everything I know, right? Is that kind of what you're referring to?
Yeah, you're getting information that is secret that you're agreeing to not release that could uncover a secret black program with UFOs and alien, right? Like that's huge, dude. That's a huge responsibility to take on.
Let me push back on that a little bit. So if I revealed the location Michael was taken to, it wouldn't change anything from the public's perspective.
What's the location?
Like for instance, so the reason I can't reveal it is because it would identify who these people are, the insiders, who these insiders are due to that association with that location. And, you know,
That's interesting.
I'm
So
reserving.
the insiders are specifically like tied to this location that we would all know. If you said the name, we'd go, oh, it's these guys. Like, so you're saying these guys, it's a group of guys?
I'm not referring to the public. I'm saying the identity. And again, I don't want
to get you in trouble. So let's
no.
let me
It's
not
not.
push
It's
back
not
on
that.
this.
It's
I
just,
don't
I'm
wanna
trying
do
to
that.
make sure the context of what I'm saying is clear. I'm not saying I believe everything about this insider. Okay. What I'm saying is I am giving benefit of the doubt to the situation, because that's
Sure.
like the easy, safe thing to do, in the sense of I'm not going to rat them out, because I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt that they are who they say they are, in the sense that they're trying to help disclosure. And
Have you met this insider? You've spoken to them?
No, I have not. I don't want to.
But
I don't want to.
But you
I
know their
don't-
name.
I do not. I'm like, that's kind of like where I draw the line, is like, I'm just letting that kind of play out, and I'm
But
not
Michael has
going
tried
there.
to involve you more, and you've said no?
No.
Okay, got it.
No,
So they haven't
he's-
invited you out to the black side or anything?
No, and I wouldn't go. I mean, you know, that's like, I'm not, like you said, I mean, there's like a line and it's like, I'm in so over my head. Like, you guys realize I'm just like a random dude. I'm not like I'm not a journalist. You know, like someone criticized me yesterday on Reddit about, you know, these high journalistic standards. Like, I'm not a journalist, you know, like I'm just a random guy. I flew out. I tried to record a video the best I could. You know, some of it was blurry. Sorry. And, you know, I'm like, you know,
look, I appreciate you. I respect you. You come on, you talk, you know, that there's no question of that. And like I've said, once a guest, always a guest. You're always welcome embedded. You're always welcome to come explain things. You're always welcome to come set the record straight from your end. You're always welcome to speak here. Right. That's always available to you. But I respect the hell out of you for wanting to talk. Come on here. You didn't avoid me. You didn't say, no, I won't go talk about it. You know, you're willing to come and talk. And dude, there's nothing more from your, you know, from that end. I respect that, if I'm being frank. Like, so.
Well, I appreciate that, but I also recognize, and this is kind of what I was alluding to with the timing of the video, that like it's unfair for me to expect anyone to believe me. You know, and I feel like you
can't control that.
Well, I could by, you know, providing more evidence, but like I'm making the decision
even then
not to do that. And
even then, that you can't control how people take even evidence, information, how you present it. You can't control any of that.
You know, my compromise that I had come up with was, you know, when I had learned about Michael going to this place, I said, you know what I can do? I'll reach out to certain people in the community, like podcasters and journalists who are, you know, universally known and mostly trusted, and do a private call with them and share the evidence with them. That's what I was going to do with you, you know, just so you could go on and tell your audience, hey, I think this guy's full of shit, or, you know, if what he showed me is true. Cause like a lot of the people, I had to censor certain things, but it kind of put them in a position to be like, okay, if what he showed me is authentic, then he absolutely was able to prove where Michael went that day, you know.
Listen, that's very enticing for most podcasters and content creators. Show me a secret. I want to be in on the know and this and that. I just don't not fall for that, but that doesn't make me want to see it. And one, I always have to assume, if this is true, no way in hell would I ever want to look at this, because that means it's classified and I'd be breaking the law. So I would never do it. And again, you become part of the story essentially there. Now I get your viewpoint, and in no way am I judging the other podcasters and content creators. This is just I'm in my lane. This is what Patrick does, vetted. I didn't want to know who you are. I didn't want to know anything I couldn't reveal to my audience. I don't like that burden on me. You know what I mean? If someone says, hey, I want to say this, then you come say it. You come on and say it with your own face, your own words, You show the picture, you show the video, you show the evidence, but no way am I going to filter information through to my audience that gets heard. I'm not a fan of that. I personally don't think I don't think it helps us in a lot of ways if we're trying to get, and then that's just overall speaking about the UFO community and this movement of disclosure. And then again, this is just my opinion, right? And this is my show, and that's just how I do it. But I'm I totally understand why you would want to do that. Let me ask you this question. Is your goal to prove Michael's story to people, like to get them to believe it? What's your goal with telling Michael's story?
No,
just to get it out and let people decide that.
I mean, I'm just sharing. Like I said, the timing was awkward with this video. I probably would have just let things kind of lay low until, more comes forward. So it's unreasonable for me to expect anyone to believe me. The biggest thing that I have stated is the fact that he went to this facility. I know that 100% with full confidence. And so I had the option. So do I just not tell anybody and let people completely dismiss this story? Or, think about the UFO community. It's like,
sure,
it's a pretty small community, right? And so I felt like it was important to at least share what I know with the UFO community. So as things develop, and I thought things were going to develop a little quicker. Honestly, I didn't think this was going to be a year later where we're at. There are some things that have happened with legislation that kind of, from my perspective, explain certain delays and things like that. But so
there will always be delays, dog.
Yeah,
there's going to continue to be delays every time you ask for more evidence. When's that evidence coming? It's always going to get delayed. Watch, 3 years from now, you will know. You won't have any evidence of the
you're implying that it's
parts.
not actually there. It's just a
no. I don't think it's there because by default, I don't think it's there till it's proven it's there.
Okay.
For me personally, right? Like, it's too fantastical. If someone said I went and washed my car, I don't need evidence of that. I'm just going to assume it's not going to affect my life if that's real or not. But someone telling me what Michael's saying, bro, by default, I don't believe you.
Yeah.
Just because that's crazy and you provide zero evidence.
Yeah.
So I can't go, and no one should expect someone to just believe someone's word on something so profound, so serious, if true, and quite disturbing as well, if true. Right. The entire story. If Michael just left it at the 2009 Indonesia thing, hey, I saw a UFO, this thing, I don't know what it was. And that was his entire story, but it doesn't stop there. Right.
Well, that's the thing.
It gets crazy for me.
That's the thing that's crazy is what has happened since then is the stuff I have been able to verify to a much higher extent than what happened in Indonesia. And so that's why
it's appealing to you.
Yeah.
Or credence to some, right? I get it. But let's be clear. The only thing you're able to verify is that he went to a particular place.
Well, publicly, that's what I'm saying. I mean, there's a lot of other little minor things.
But again,
that's
nothing
not like
fantastical.
And here's the thing. If I felt like anything I knew was going to make meaningful progress without undermining, other efforts that are underway, of course, yes, I would, make those connections and go give that information to the right people. But
why give it to you then? Why are you okay to give it to, but not the public?
I'm just addressing something you had said earlier.
I get it. I'm sorry. It's another question. I'm going off a tangent. I'll ask it afterwards.
But from what I understand, there are things happening behind the scenes that are moving in the right direction, and I'm not going to undermine that. And that's my position right now.
I feel you. But so my question to you would be, why would this information be given to you and not the public? Why are you okay to give it to?
Well, you can hear Michael talk about that in the interview, you know, because I had, you know, that was one of my initial suspicions, questions, you know, why would he trust me specifically? Someone
Because
who
he needed, but I'm saying he didn't just reveal it to you. He revealed it to you and asked you to do things. He recruited you in to his story, right? He asked you to be a
No.
dead man switch. He
No,
told
I
me
mean, he
that.
didn't, I mean, it wasn't like that, you know, it wasn't like that. And just to clarify something, like, he didn't provide me, you know, like the proof that how do I put this? I proved that he went to this place without him providing me that information. It was like a surprise to him that I was able to figure it out. And then at that point, you know,
He
pr-
revealed more information
well,
to you.
yeah, and I mean, I had used that opportunity since he didn't know. I asked him additional questions like, "Hey, do you remember what time you took off? Do you remember, you know, this, that, and the other thing?" To get some more corroboration of was he telling the truth or not? You know, and
So
it
you
was
don't
only
think Michael wants your help or needs your help or is
well, it's
asking
just
for
the,
your
you know,
help?
you're saying like recruiting me. That what I mean, this was all
It's
my.
possible he could be recruiting you,
I'm just I just don't think that
and
frames it.
not you knowing it. I'm not saying you're aware. I'm just saying you may not even be aware of it.
Yeah, I don't think that's how it is. It's kind of like I
Let's be
just
real. You wouldn't know
got
if it was happening. Probably
okay.
they're good at it.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
let's be real. Me too.
sure.
Maybe they're doing something to me.
Yeah,
Maybe this
yeah,
is all part of it too, and I'm like fucking spreading shit here. I don't even know.
yeah.
That's the. I mean, look again. If the bar that's set for what is a possibility is hybrid, psionic, alien, ARVs, and UFO, then anything I say, does that make sense? What I'm getting at? Like, I know it sounds crazy, like, and I'm kind of in jest saying this stuff, but that's my point. The
Yeah.
bar is set so crazily out there that we can get crazy with other ideas too.
Okay. Okay. However, what we never finished kind of filling out was what's the objective of that. So like if this is some big giant psyop and like the majority of people don't believe Michael and think this is all made up, what's the objective there? Just like from a
There could be
logical
many.
standpoint, not
Sure.
that there
One
could be many,
objective.
but like what, you
Sure.
know.
I'll give you specifics if you want. So, I mean, this happens a lot in this community. I mean, this isn't nothing new. So, they literally pumping misinformation into the community, right? National security reasons. I know for a fact that, dude, I've been hit with troll. I've been hit with all kinds of weird shit on my channel, weird stuff. I've been invited to weird groups from other people. Forget Michael Herrera. See, man,
Yeah.
I'm involved in more than just Michael Herrera's story. I talk to all kinds of people. I hear all kinds of things. I've been invited into groups. I've been a part of whatever, different conversations. Like, they can't all be real, dude. You see what I'm saying? Like, yes, there could be a psyop recruitment that we don't know. That's the thing. Yes, there could be real reasons why these things happen, and that could be one of them. There could be many. It could all, again, without any evidence, all possibilities are plausible.
Yeah,
And
I
the
think
bar
I
is
just think
set
there's
so
some
high.
value in trying to come up with what you think is kind of like the most logical explanation for the whole story.
The most
right?
logical explanation is this dude either got leveraged on something and is making this up, but wanted to be a part of something by being around Greer and was offered something, because I've heard that's also how it happens behind the scenes. That to me is the most logical. It's more logical to think he's lying about it than there are psionic hybrid alien. Does it make sense? Like, which one sounds more logical to you?
Yeah,
He's lying or hybrid alien psionic machines shooting down, right? Which one sounds more logical?
right. But it's
Being real,
what I'm
using your
saying.
whole life experience
But
that a dude
yeah,
lied about it.
I mean, look, man, I'm not an experiencer even. Like I'm not even
Sure.
like I've never even so like all
Me
of that
neither.
stuff. I think I literally kind of like set it aside and try to just uncover the evidence, like the what can be proven, you know.
And nothing can be proven of
and
his
so
fantastical
I don't
story.
let the extraordinary caliber of his story dilute my interest in wanting to uncover evidence to prove it one way or the other.
Totally agree.
So
But you
yeah,
asked me what is the logical. You asked me a question of what is the logical reason that I gave.
yeah,
it to
but
you,
but what
right?
I was getting
If
at
we're saying
was
logically, you didn't say evidence based. You didn't say proof based. But I agree
yeah,
with
but
your statement.
what I was
I
trying
do
to
it
get
every
at,
day on this channel. I listen to stories. People tell fantastical stuff every single day. I've had experiences on my channel. I welcome them every single day. I will listen to them with an open heart, and I hope they find other experiencers to deal with. I've proven that. And I'm open-minded. I'm willing to listen to any story at the end of the day. And that doesn't mean I'm willing to then say, yep, that's true. And now I'm going to invest my time and effort in to spread this true story. I'm here to just give people the most information and they decide for themselves. I never want to decide for anybody, you know?
cool. I just saw a question in the chat. No, I haven't interacted with Dr. Greer at all.
Hey, that's a good question. Look, I tell you what, that's probably a good idea. Let's go to the chat. You want to answer some questions or no? I don't want to force you to do anything.
Oh, let's do it.
Metal Spork. Oh no. That guy, he's trolling me with money now. Okay, questions, guys. Doty is Michael's mysterious insider contact, aka the Falcon. What do you think of that? If we're speculating, Richard Doty.
No, I don't think it's Doty.
Janine asked, Jenny, sorry. Joey is just right. You're not an experiencer, right? That's what you said.
That was crazy because that was maybe
Literally what
maybe
you
I
just said.
subliminally saw that question or something when I said that. But yeah,
no, it came up after you said that. Actually.
But yeah, no, I'm not not an experiencer at all, honestly, in any way.
Okay. Do you work for the government?
No, I don't.
Have you ever been in the military?
No, I haven't. And that's so like a lot of military folks will, make comments. I value that a lot because, I recognize I don't have that context to put it in.
No. Honestly, if I'm being fair, I actually thought you might have been in the military.
Nope.
Just on your demeanor, your questioning. I'd say take that as a compliment.
Sure. Thank you.
Dude, military to me, military again. I have a lot of respect. My dad was in the Air Force. Grandfather fought in World War II. I have a lot of respect for the military. My cousins are in the military now, currently.
That's cool.
I have a lot of respect for that.
This question here, Dobser. So what Aaron's referring to is, so the question is, Dobser indicates you can't submit parts of a manuscript. What's up with the Dobser claims? I don't know about that specifically. That you can't submit parts of a manuscript. I think so what they're referring to is this insider allegedly provided Michael with this kind of preview of a book that they are having written that's supposed to kind of be like a Secret Machines type of thing where they hide truth within fiction. And the reason he provided that was because he felt there was some tie-in with what Michael had experienced in Indonesia. Excuse me.
Got it.
And he provided the Dobser kind of approval for that first section. And actually, I think what it was after he got that approval back, they had said like, hey, we're not going to just approve piecemeal. You have to kind of submit the whole thing and kind of like get the whole thing. Sure. So I did share that on Reddit so people can check that out. I don't know what to make of it. I mean, people find that very sketchy. I find it kind of strange myself that there's this book, like it's like, how do we know this isn't just like a guerrilla marketing tactic to market a book? And I haven't heard anything about the progress of the publishing of this book or anything like that. The last I heard was it's still in review.
Okay. Well, I also heard somebody mentioned to me in the Discord something about maybe has Michael ever tried to FOIA anything?
Oh, yeah. I do not think so. Because he was under the he had the impression that he testified to Arrow last year, and he kind of had the impression that like they were gonna supersede anything that he would, be able to get through like public FOIA, and they would kind of directly
That's fair.
get him that data and everything, and like they never followed up with him. So
Sure.
I think that's kind of where it sat with that. I've done a FOIA request. There's someone that I've been talking to who works in the intelligence community and kind of indicated that there's a lot of satellite data that exists from those days. I mean, it makes sense. It was a earthquake. You probably have a lot of assets there to kind of assess damage and kind of see what's going on and whatnot. So I had requested that through FOIA, and they came back like 6 months later saying like, we haven't found anything. Sorry. So
dude, ask John Greenewald, bro. He said a decade one time.
Yeah, I would love to get his assistance. Yeah, because
you should reach out to him, dude.
I have
on Twitter.
I just think it got lost in the in the mix.
Do I have your email?
I think it's worth looking into from that angle.
If I don't have your email already, send it to me on Twitter DM. I'll hook you and John up through email and introduce you guys. And
yeah, I'm
and you take it from there.
I just got the impression he didn't feel it was worth exploring or whatever. But
did he respond or he didn't?
No, I mean, I guess that was just kind of my assumption that like he
gets a lot of messages.
That's gotta be what it is.
So let me make the introduction. If he then says, "Hey, man, I don't think this is worth my," I mean, again, I'm going to leave it to y'all at that point.
Sure.
But in no way would he mind. No, he's especially if it's FOIA stuff, dude. If it's just questions on that, he is the expert, dude. However you feel about him, he is the expert on that stuff. Okay, 26 chairs. That's an interesting name. Kind of cool. Sounds like a rap artist or something. Sorry if you've answered that already, but when do you think we'll see a new development with this whole Herrera being brought in by insiders thing, and what will it be? I guess you've probably answered that, right? But feel free to.
I mean, I don't know all the details,
like what's coming next,
what's
sort
going
of
on,
thing.
what's coming next, type of thing. I know there's a lot of credibility to the situation, and there are different people involved, and it's not. I do expect something to unfold at some point, and I don't know when, unfortunately.
Okay, no, that's fair. That's I believe you. Oh gosh, I should have had Daniel join me today to help me with this. He did this for me yesterday. Joey, did Michael ever explain that humans need to astral project into the UAP in order to pilot it? Also, if you have evidence of criminal activity, please give it evidence to the proper authorities.
Yeah, I just, Michael has gone on podcasts and relayed stuff that he's been told. I don't know to what level.
Did y'all talk about that in the UAP Jerv video? Did you bring any of that stuff up, the psionics and all that?
No, and this is kind of why I personally don't feel comfortable talking about any of that stuff, because like I don't know if any of that's true at all. Like if someone wants to hear Michael explain what he's been told, I don't know to what level he's basing trust. I don't know to what level he's just like trusting the insiders telling him the truth, or if he's been proven or shown evidence. I don't know. So
you should ask him that. You should ask him that question, just like that.
Yeah.
What are you? What standard of proof are you using
to
accept what the insider is telling you? Right. Because I'm putting my neck out, Michael, about this other Indonesia thing, and I'm talking about you. So I'd like to know what's going on over here, man. And please tell me. I don't think there would have been anything wrong with that, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, I've asked him, certain things along that lines, but it's more like the specifics. I'm not sure.
Sure.
But anyways, yeah.
No, I hear you. Sam Newman asked Joey, did Herrera have a relationship with Greer before or after making these claims?
So Herrera first met Greer, according to Herrera, he first met Greer at one of Greer's events locally, where near where Michael lives. I can't remember the year. It may have been 2017, 2015, 2017, something like that. And I believe it was at that kind of meet and greet type of thing. I think he like bought a book so he could kind of walk up to the table. He mentioned something saying like, "Hey, I need to talk to you about something very serious." And so that was kind of their first interaction. And it wasn't until, and I'm trying to remember what podcast it was where he mentioned this. It may have been the Sean Ryan one, because I know Sean Ryan had Greer on there, so they may have been talking about that. It wasn't until the whistleblower protection laws were signed by Biden, I think a couple years ago, and I think it was that, and him seeing another kind of interview where he kind of said, "Okay, I think now's the time to bring this forward," and so that's kind of what I understand their relationship to be in their introduction.
Fair. Ufolo font. Could any of this be a quadruple reverse holes inserted to muddle the sighting of ARV? I mean, yes. Unfortunately, there are psyops that exist, but there's also real phenomena that exist. Okay, and at the end of the day, that is what makes Michael's story so enticing. But it also requires the most strict skepticism and standard of proof and evidence. Because again, if it is true, it is the most profound knowledge that humanity would ever understand, right? So that's why I can't just put that to the side to look into this other stuff, because again, we're talking about the most profound knowledge in the history of mankind. So yeah. Steve, do you believe Nathan or Michael? I mean, that's up for everybody to decide, right, Joey? I mean, but yeah, I mean, personally, I would assume you probably lean more towards Michael, or maybe you're neutral. I don't know, actually.
I mean, I would say I lean more towards Michael because of other circumstantial evidence and corroboration that I have. But I also can't discount Nathan, and it's like, I wouldn't even say he's lying. I would say perhaps he's misremembering. That's kind of where I'm at there.
Yeah, and to be fair to Joey, Steve, he did answer that at the beginning of the live stream as well and go into more detail. So if you want to see him answer that even in more detail, as he gave a great speech about Nathan, I think it's important people hear that, and that was at the beginning. So check that out. Aaron, we disagree with each other, but this community is a single goal. Trade numbers, guys. I don't know what that means. I think it means phone numbers. Yeah, I have no problem with disagreeing. I'm no problem with look, at the end of the day, I respect Joey for coming on. He's always welcome to come on. I would have a beer with Joey in a heartbeat. There's no bad blood. I respect him. I respect UAB Jerb, however he feels about me. I could tell in that video he's probably not too happy with Vetted. I'm sure Michael isn't either. But again, the invitation's always open to either of them and to you. I respect you. But I don't think there's anything wrong with a little verbal, you know,
spice,
we're cool.
Yeah,
sure. We're cool. It's this is intense. And that's why I respect Joey for coming on. Dude, I will always respect somebody for coming on and talking to me. Without a doubt. That's hands down. Goes without saying. So I don't want to, if you had something to say, sorry, Joey, I didn't mean to.
I was just going to make a joke. I don't drink, so I would totally have a beer with you, but I
don't drink either.
I've never been drunk. I've never, so.
Oh, really?
We can,
I've
just totally never gotten into any of that.
Straight edge. Okay, no, that's cool. I have been drunk before, lots of times. I don't drink anymore. That's been many, many years. Every once in a while, celebration. I will have a beer with a friend here or there. I love coffee
sometime.
I prefer that, actually. That's what I'm down for. I love a good coffee. Absolutely. Okay. I'm missing, guys. I'm sorry. Okay.
I saw another comment about Ross Coulthard, and I it's worth mentioning. So I had talked to Ross earlier in the year, last year, and I shared with him, a lot of kind of the evidence and whatnot. I introduced him to Michael, and he recently did a Reddit AMA, and he stated that he finds what Michael says credible. And he's spoken to Michael among other sources. And I think there was also a recent reality check segment where he expanded on that a little bit as well.
And
so someone totally way more qualified than me is like,
saying there's something there. Ross Coulthart, right?
Yeah,
and he's a big wig in this. He also, you're right. He did the famous interview with David Grush. I mean, it's Ross Coulthart, right? He, of course. And he also, Ross Coulthart brought up psionics as well.
Mm-hmm.
So just to add some something there. Again, I'm personally think it's BS, but hey, it is brought up, and he did say that. I don't even know. Anyone linked to Dr. Six should be heavily okay, dude. I didn't mean to bring that up. Jesus Christ, guys,
sorry.
Come
on. I was laughing at another one.
I mean, it is. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, come on, guys.
Apparently, I'm skeptical because I've never been drunk. I'm
oh no, come on, guys. No. That's ridiculous, y'all. Let me tell you something. There's no advantage in life to being drunk ever. So I would say, Matt, props to Joey for not. And I have known people that have gone straight edge their whole life. Yeah. Actually, guys I know in punk bands. So you want to talk shit about them?
Yeah, I mean, I had family members who were alcoholics and stuff, and I was like, what, I don't want anything to do with it.
Dude,
so that
totally,
was, there's nothing
totally
weird, So
yeah, dude, what a weird people.
All
so
right.
weird. How many whistleblowers have said they participated in 20 and back, and who's the first? I don't think Michael has said 20 and back.
Yeah, I'm not even familiar with that whole story.
I am, but that's Jason Sands, y'all. That's
right.
That's Mike. That's not Michael Herrera at all. Okay, we got to be fair to Michael. I'm not just gonna make up stuff either about stuff he said. He has not said anything remotely close to that. Adam Wick, Super Circuit, thank you, brother. Look, Heiser, shout out to Heiser, shout out to all the mods. We did get up to like 700 people watching. I know that's a lot in the chat for the mods. I wasn't paying attention, so thank you to Heiser, Brookers, Jessica, Daniel, whoever was out there. Thank y'all so much. All right, look, let's go. What do you think? 5 more minutes, Joey? I mean,
yeah, that'd be good.
You know what I mean? All right, this will be the last story. Has anyone taken, or last question, has anyone took time to remote view what truly happened with Michael and his story? Look, people do remote view. I don't know if that's ever happened, if anyone has attempted that. Not that I know of. Have you heard anything like that? Do you know anything about remote viewing? Have you ever heard of that?
I do not. No. I mean,
it's interesting.
I don't have any personal experience with it. I've just, I've seen some of the Joe McMonagle stuff and
Ingo Swann.
Yeah. So I don't really.
Bro.
It is very fascinating. I don't really have a firm opinion one way or the other.
Sure. Yeah, me neither. I have seen nothing, but it is fascinating. Okay. Well, look. Thank you, Joey. I'll let you kind of. If you have any last words, anything, last little thing that you want to say.
Yeah,
please.
I guess. I just want to say I understand the criticism. I understand the skepticism. That's important to be skeptical, especially in this situation where evidence hasn't come forward yet. I feel like I've done the right thing with how I've presented things over the course of the past year of things that I've learned and investigated. It's not a fun position really to be in for all the reasons that you've described. Kind of withholding information. People distrust me because of that. They think I'm making it up. I can assure you I'm not. I can assure you I'm extremely confident in my conclusions that I've stated definitively. And, I do think it's certainly appropriate to want more evidence before kind of making a final decision on the situation, and that's kind of where what I'm gonna be waiting for.
Awesome. Well, look, man. Again, I said it before. I respect the hell out of you for coming on. You are putting yourself out there, and I will always respect that. It comes with the territory. You know, if you're going to put yourself
Yeah.
out there, I deal with it every day. You know that. I'm sure, you know, look, I got it comes with the territory. You're going to put yourself out there. Keep doing what you're doing. I respect you for what you're doing. And again, there's you always have a place here on Vetted if you want to come and speak your mind and set the record straight about anything that you feel is being misrepresented or taken out of always. You can always reach out to me. I appreciate all the legwork you put in our Discord server, in the Vetted Discord server, man. We have a thread in there that you're very active in and answering questions, and I appreciate that. There's nothing more you can ask of somebody, if I'm being honest, right? At the end of the day, that's it. So thank you, man. I really do appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me on. Appreciate it.
Always, man. Always. And again, links in the description, guys. Go check out the interview that Joey and UAP Jerb did. It's awesome. Link in the description. Please go check it out. And check out his interview he did. I thought it was cool. You and UAP Jerb. That was a cool interview too, man.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Awesome.
So, all right, guys. Thank y'all so much for watching. We'll see you guys on the next video. Don't forget, on July 4th, we have the Phoenix Light video coming out with all the Discord members coming together for nice stories. So very excited about that. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all. See you guys on tomorrow's video. Peace.
Peace.